Hello and welcome to the CRM Zen Show, where we talk about all things Zoho. This is episode 111, Generation Dark Mode, recorded on September 11th, 2020 from Zenatta Consulting. I'm Brett Martin.
And I'm Tyler Colt, and let's get right on into the news.
All right, we'll start with Zoho has made up many more enhancements to Zoho meetings. It's, again, they keep improving this product. They've got search, sort, and filter, chat transcripts, recurring meetings. For webinars, they've just made a whole bunch of things, more customization inside their forms, recurring webinars, integration with Backstage, which is Backstage's ability now to kind of do virtual meetings and things like that. A lot of great stuff here, Tyler. I'm glad to see them keep improving it. Unfortunately, it seems like they keep missing on the one most important thing, which is recordings and recording quality.
Yeah, so we took kind of another swag at it, playing around with this as well as Zoho Showtime, which are, again, both applications that, on most axes do pretty well, but the recording quality for both is still just not really workable if you do need to have recordings of any of your meetings or webinars or training sessions.
Yeah, we ran full tests yesterday because I said, well, look, these enhancements, really Zoho Meeting is just getting to be fantastic. And, I'm assuming they're using the same recording engine on the back end. We talked about it. We would prefer to use Zoho Showtime over Zoom any day of the week, right? Zoom webinar, Zoom meeting, Zoho Showtime is fantastic. But we ran all these tests, like you were saying, and it's just abysmal. It points, the video goes black. It points, the audio drops out. It's grainy. It's not grainy. So it's just not acceptable. So Zoho, please fix this. It would just make our life a heck of a lot easier.
It's God knows too, a lot of these applications, if you're running Zoom webinar or any of those, they're not cheap too. So we would love to switch back over because all these are included for anyone who's on Zoho One. But
no kidding.
Can't do it yet.
It's like hundreds and hundreds of dollars a month going out on this kind of stuff, and if you got Zoho One, you're all covered. But hopefully they can get that fixed. But it has been a very, very, very long time. They even took recordings down off of Showtime for a while, and Showtime with their content on demand and training on demand and all those kind of things, it's just so important that video quality be good. And there's a couple other things. Zoho, reach out to us, okay? I tell you, one of the things that Zoom does so well is it gives us these discrete, 4 or 5 discrete recordings. You've got just the screen. You've got the screen with a head in it. You've got, just our video. And then you have your own discrete audio, which when you want to mix and edit these things, which most people are going to want to do, it's really, really helpful. On top of that, we do like a backup audio. We do audio hijacks. We've got a separate discrete audio tracks, all this kind of redundancy. So I'd love to see him get that fixed. It's just a major thing there. But enough about Zoho meetings. But hey, guys, great enhancements. It's getting to the point where it needs to be. So anyway, we'll see. And then this is kind of cool and out of the blue, but Zoho Cliq got widgets, and I played around with a couple of these, and I got to say they're really, really, really kind of fantastic. You can build your own, but they have one. You've got a Twitter one, which you just connect to your Twitter timeline, and it pulls in all your Twitter feeds directly into. So it's this, they're at the bottom of the Cliq page now, and it's this little widget section, and it's. I tell you, I like it. I like it a lot. They've got a COVID-19 one, which is a bit more than it seems. So it's a COVID-19 tracker, which gives you a full breakdown of, how many cases, how many deaths, hospital, all the kind of information you'd want to know, active and critical, by country. But it also then installs a separate bot channel, which is kind of their remote working thing, where every day it's asking employees to check in. Do you have a temperature? Do you have a cough? Have you traveled to a place? Have you been within 6 feet? Have you, if you got any, and if any of those trigger something, it's telling you to please quarantine. It's, it's interesting use of the technology. They've got one for Writer. I want to talk about that later. But some interesting stuff, some ClickBots, goes on and on. But these widgets, I think they're going to be just one more way to bring all of your work kind of into that Cliq interface, right?
Yeah, and so the really cool thing about widgets is they're very kind of open, right? So you can basically embed pieces of applications that you're working on into Cliq, so that in the same place that you're doing all your chat, you can just pull up a tab and be working inside of a completely different application. So it's really cool. They've kind of been building more and more into this to make it that one-stop shop, right? Kind of home base in Zoho. Um, at the developer conference a little while back now, they were referring to it as the command line, and I think that's it's kind of where they're going here.
Yeah, and then they also had a whole nother blog post I found that was just put out a couple days, which is what's new in Cliq in August. Edit comments for attachments. I think we talked about that, which was I'm not sure. I didn't realize that when you did an attachment, you added a comment. That was it. You were stuck with it. So it's kind of nice. And then the check-in reminders for remote work is kind of something I've noticed. I don't know if you know, but every day when you go to Cliq now, it's saying check in, check in, check in. I actually think we should do that. I think it's kind of good to say, hey, I'm here, I'm available, kind of thing. You can schedule calendar events. And then they've got, I haven't played with this, but they've got the new Galaxy View.
Maybe we'll do our team meeting in Cliq later.
Yes, let's
play
do
around with the Galaxy View.
We'll be in Galaxy View, and we can all just be yes. This would be great. So I guess if you're muted, it seems to push you off to the edges. But for those of you that aren't watching the show, it's just imagine it kind of looks like an Apple Watch, where if you're using the app interface, where it's just a whole bunch of circles of all the apps, it's similar to that. So I guess the people that are talking more kind of show up more in the middle. So pretty cool. Pretty cool. So check that out. A whole bunch of Cliq updates there.
And just all around a great application, and they just keep going on it too. It seems like every couple of weeks you see a big drop of new updates there.
Yeah, it's one of those. It's one of those applications where it's like one of my favorites now. I think I really love it.
Absolutely,
it's great. All right, and we're got a little bit of Bigin news here. We'll start with the minor Bigin news, but it's kind of major. Bigin now has full Zapier integration, so that's pretty cool. Giving you access to more than 2,000 different connections. So Zoho CRM has got Zapier integration, and this is a big step for the platform.
Yeah, the cool thing about integrating with Zapier is just like you said, that means that you're integrated with thousands of applications, and that you will be integrated with anything that's ever added to Zapier later. So it really is just opening up a whole wide set of tools that you can plug in to your Bigin suite or get data out of your Bigin suite with.
Yeah. And the interface is nice. They throw a few out here, such as, new contacts as Bigin customers in QuickBooks, Bigin. Add new companies and Bigin as records in Salesforce.com. There you go. There's some cross pollination. So it's a big deal, but not the biggest news, Tyler. Bigin now has two-way synchronization between Zoho CRM and Bigin. This is with contacts, accounts, deals and products, activities, and notes. It's crazy. So, what are your thoughts on this?
This is very interesting. So I'll kind of paraphrase some of what they led into this update with. That it's basically the idea that your sales reps might not always need the entirety of Zoho CRM, right? Which makes sense because the CRM, you can have tons of custom fields, you can have all these formulas and scripts running that are running back-end processes and updating records. But sometimes the sales reps might just need a simplified view, seeing companies and people that they're working with and deals that are in the pipeline. So they're looking at this kind of as a way to simplify the CRM while still having all of your updates that are happening in Bigin still write back to the CRM and update the data there. So it's an interesting process. I mean, we kind of knew this was going to be coming down the pipeline when they released Bigin. I'm interested to see exactly how it works, but I could see a use case for it because Bigin does have a really nice UI. It's very simple. Looks very much like a HubSpot pipeline to me, where it kind of has the running timeline front and center, rather than like the fields and values being front and center. So I think there's some potential, and people might really like using this.
Yeah, it is. I think actually a good idea. I mean, it's one of those things where, There are a lot of salespeople. It is too cluttered. It's not very pretty, even with the new UI, even with some of the enhancements they made. This strips it down to its bare minimum. Now you've got full synchronization between the two. We have got to try it out. I mean, I want full synchronization. I'm just curious, though, how good this is, because the CRM has got different pipelines and it has different layouts for deals and all of these kind of things. So hopefully that all comes over. Is it only going to take the master layout? I don't know. I haven't played with it yet. But there's a lot to this synchronization, in my opinion, in order for it to work properly, right? There's a lot to it. So we'll take a look at that and see what it does. But the other thing on this note, you talk about layout and look and feel. Zoho had a webinar last week that one of our friends attended, and they were showing those detailed canvas views for CRM on it, which are completely customized page layouts for each of the different modules, where you determine how everything is going to lay out and what it's going to look like. And you could do that based on privileges and such. And that solves this as well, right? So when that comes out, you kind of don't, well, here's your simplified view. You can just create it inside the CRM and make it look good. So I don't know where they're going to go with this, but it is fascinating and pretty cool. So it's at least it's interesting to watch this as it goes along, huh?
Yeah.
Yes. All right. And then interesting notebook. We should just have a running joke on how every notebook update that doesn't do the one thing we've asked for. Do you think they're just testing us? We just want you to take a note in notebook.
Yeah, they have it. They have it developed, tested, and ready to deploy. They're just teasing us with it.
It's ready to go. You just cannot do any. You can't put a note to the CRM. That's, by the way, for those that don't follow, Zoho Notebook is their note-taking application. It is very, very good. It's got checklists, and you can drop images, and you can annotate, and you have different folders and different groups, and you can do all kinds of things with it. And more, they've been adding various features to it. One of the big ones that we've always said that has been missing is, well, I sure would like to be able to attach this note to a record in the CRM. Seems standard. We're still waiting on that one, but this is interesting, and this is kind of getting where it needs to be, but this is a not quite kind of thing, if you ask me. They have now introduced note sharing. So when you are in a note, you can now share it with other users, but not really. It's not what anybody is used to in sharing. It's literally just you can look at it. That's it. So that's really your only choice. When a user receives a note from others, you can mark that note as your favorite or add a reminder. These properties will only be visible to you and not anyone else on that note. You always share a note in read-only mode. And then, as only Zoho can do, extremely strange limitations. You can share a note with only 50 users. You can share up to 50 notes within your organization. You can share up to 500 notes privately, and you can receive a maximum of 250 notes. So there you go.
There's some interesting limitations there. Yeah, it was a while back now, but I was having a quick meeting with Wayne, our director of marketing. And, we wanted to pull up a quick notebook document, just kind of jot some ideas down, right? And, for whatever reason, I picked that app. Could have done it in Writer as well. Spoiler alert, we ended up doing it in Writer. But I pulled it up in, Zoho Notebook, made the notes, started taking notes on it, and then realized this was a little while back, but there was no way for him to see it and edit it as well. Right. So this update makes it where he could have seen it while I was sharing it to him, but he still would not have been able to edit it.
Right.
So we ended up just doing this in WorkDrive, right? But I wanted to make it pretty, and I like the UI in Notebook a lot, so I decided to use that. But without being able to share, it just kind of lacks a little bit of the functionality. And I almost wonder if that's prohibitive for the CRM integration, is that they have this kind of lockdown on visibility, tying it to a deal that multiple people can see. Maybe that's one of the reasons that this is.
It's a cool app. I find I use. I'm a Mac user, so on the iPhone and you can just bring up notes. And by the way, I can share a note with you, and we can collaborate on real time on our iPhones and on our Macs. I mean, that's kind of what notes, you take your own notes, but then you want to share, hey, what are your thoughts on this kind of thing? But Zoho Notebook is really cool. It's got some great features. If you take it with that annotation tool, which we've talked about before, Zoho Annotate, which is just amazing. You can clip anything and you can drop into these notebooks. It's got great stuff. It's just like all things Zoho, though. Give it a little bit of time, and I'm sure it'll get there. But that is kind of one of the key features. But I guess it's a baby step, right? We're just kind of slowly getting there, bit by bit,
moving along.
Yeah. Hey, and Zoho Workplace got its official rollout. I know we talked about this a few weeks ago, but big press releases went out on September 10th, talking about. This was all over the place, talking about how basically. Zoho Workplace is out. For those of you that don't know, it's what are the apps in Zoho Workplace? It's Mail, Cliq, Meeting. Go ahead.
Yes, we have Mail, Cliq, Meeting, and you have Connect and Writer. You have Show, Sheet, WorkDrive, and Showtime. It's kind of all the different collaboration and communication tools across Zoho, including the Office suite there for kind of managing your docs.
Yeah, $3 per month for the standard version, $6 for the professional. I don't remember what the differences were there. I think it was the Office suite. I think.
Yep.
Yeah, and so that's a great deal. Man, basically you're getting Microsoft Office, right, and Google Office with a whole bunch of other things added.
Yeah, with some extra stuff in there, right? Because you're getting Cliq as well. So if you're a Slack user, right, if you're on Slack and Google, the changeover cost, you're going to save some money there. Connect as well for an intranet. Definitely one of those kind of hidden gems in the Zoho apps. I think one that doesn't quite get enough love, even just for some of the task management tools that are sitting in there. So overall, a really nice value there for just a couple dollars per month.
Oh, and if like we talked about earlier, if Meeting and Showtime would just get their recording fixed, the value on this is ridiculous at that point in time. It's just ridiculous compared to what's out there right now. So anyway, good on that launch. I guess it was a soft launch before and we just kind of missed it. And then we haven't had one of these for a little while, but we've got an analytics update roundup. Anything here that got you excited?
Just kind of a couple little updates. So when you're sending out a link to a dashboard in analytics, one of the things we can do, and we actually do this for clients fairly often, is if you make a dashboard, you can generate a permalink that anyone can see, even if they don't have a Zoho login, right? So this might be, you're sharing a list of your current inventory to some of your people that purchase with you. Maybe you're sharing some information with a lender that you work with, and you're able to just generate a dashboard and share them out a specific view. One of the nice things they've added here is that you can now set an expiration date on that. So, maybe you have some agreement going with someone for 6 months where you're going to share some info, they're going to share some info. You can now set an expiration date. And of course, you could come back and bump it back a couple months or change it later. But you're able to just make sure that information isn't just publicly out there forever, which is definitely a concern when you're using a link that you don't need to log into. So just kind of a minor update there, but one that helps when you're thinking about some of the use cases for those type of public reports. They've also allowed access for users to request access. Some of the sharing permissions inside of analytics are a little tricky, right? Where you have either just users who can see nothing unless you share it to them. You have workspace admins who can see everything in a workspace, but not the entire suite. And then you have organization admins, which they just recently added. But now users can request access if they find themselves locked out of something that they need to see.
And this is great. This is just like what Google does with something. You click on a document, and it's like, hey, you don't have access to it, but you can request access from the owner.
Yeah,
and it
saves some time.
Makes it really simple, right? You can then easily approve it. So, yeah. And then they did a little show hide and pivot view.
Yeah, just a minor update here. So if you've got a bunch of columns, maybe a pivot view is showing you a whole bunch of stuff, right? You just want to look at a specific parameter that's contained there, right? You can choose to filter out some columns or data that you don't need to look at. And just under a little show hide menu there.
Nice. I would have thought that would have been there, but that's
You could always collapse. You could always collapse things and uncollapse them, but I think this is like fully hiding certain sections.
Nice. Yeah, and then I don't know if it's a big mobile update, but Zoho Mail for Android now got dark mode. So for all those who like all things dark mode, you can rejoice and
I'm included
happy.
in that. I don't have an Android, but I'll cheer on my Android brothers.
We talked about this. Is this a generational thing? Because I'm not. I think you think it is, right? And
I think it trends that way. I think there are some. It's not a one size fits all rule, but I think if you were to look at bell curves, I think we'd find night mode users skew a little.
I think
younger.
I think it's like under 30, the heavier usage of night mode, and over 30, or maybe, I don't know, maybe over 50. I don't know. It's hard to say.
I think it got very popular in the Silicon Valley programming world, right? Because they're working 12-hour days out there pretty much every day, right? So anything you can do to save your eyes, I think, became kind of key. But then it kind of became like a design trend, I guess, that just caught on in a bunch of different applications.
It's everywhere. I do get irritated when you set, if you have applications that don't play along, right? So like you have a setting on your phone where everything's dark mode, and then so you got, most applications will just follow you. They say, if whatever your setting is, I'm just going to follow it, right? And then all of a sudden it's jarring when you're, it's not that way all of a sudden.
It's funny. We recently did a webinar on Zoho Cliq, which does have dark mode. And, when Brett and I put those together, he takes some screenshots, I take some screenshots, right? And we kind of put together the deck, piece by piece. And all of my screenshots were in dark mode, and all of his screenshots were in, light mode. Yeah. So it was good. We got to show all the attendees both versions of Cliq, but it just it was kind of funny. We noticed it about halfway through and decided to leave it.
Yeah, it's funny. Hey, while we're talking about mail, I don't know how we missed this, but did you say it was like in July there was this announcement about?
Yeah, it was a little while back, actually. Snuck right under the radar.
Yeah, so evidently Zoho Mail can now be used as a full-blown IMAP client, but you have to request access. So
I think it's in maybe beta right now, and they'll be rolling it out globally.
Is that
soon.
what it is? That's a big deal, because we keep doing this switching back and forth thing. And if we could just stay on G Suite for a while, use it as IMAP, and then just flip it, man, that'd be perfect, wouldn't it? So we'll have to take a look at that. And
expect to follow up on that one once we get accepted to the beta there.
Yeah, it is. So we should probably maybe add that link to this week's newsletter. So as we talked about it, if we can get that, we can just drop it in so that goes out. But pretty good stuff. Alrighty, and that brings us to our implementation of the week. Forms, Flow, and CRM. What do we got here?
Yes, this is kind of a mainstay in the Zenatta arsenal here. We use this for a variety of different clients, and it kind of solves one of the key issues in any form integration to the website or to your CRM. When someone's submitting a form, they're going to be a person, right? And we want to make sure that we're not creating two versions of that person in the CRM. But when you integrate a form using the standard integration, you're either choosing leads or contacts. And you can have it upsert, which means like find and update, based on email address or some type of unique value, but it's only going to be looking in one of those two modules. So what we do is we actually take the form, and rather than integrate it through the direct integration, we route it through Zoho Flow. Zoho Flow is kind of just an integration tool across all the different Zoho applications and a bunch of apps that aren't made by Zoho as well. And so basically on a form submission, we can take all the data from your Contact Us form and then search leads and contacts to make sure that if they were a lead and they've been converted, right, that we're not creating a new lead for them, right? Because now John Smith is a lead and a contact, right? And you have someone who's maybe doing outbound work and they're going to start calling him even though he's halfway through your deal pipeline, working with one of your sales reps. So kind of looks in both places. And then if it does find an existing person, we create a task and a little email notification that would go to the record owner, basically just saying, hey, John Smith, your existing contact, refilled out the form. So probably a good time to touch base with them. And then if they don't exist, we can always create them as a lead or as a contact, based on the use case. So it's a nice little update. It's just one that we do kind of pretty often, right? Every handful of clients that has a form, we're going to end up doing this just because you want to minimize those duplicates and minimize any redundant work, because it's a good way to kind of leave a bad impression on someone if you give them your initial outbound phone call or email after they're
Yeah,
halfway through your sales process.
I think we should do this for everybody that has a form that's going to integrate with the CRM. It's just
There's the really
makes so much sense.
the only restriction with this that comes into play is passing through attachments. So that's the only time that we really wouldn't want to do it this way is just if there are any attachments that need to come through, because we can't pass those through Zoho Flow.
So you have to create a new record then.
Yeah, you would need to. Well, you can upsert an attachment from forms, but you can't upsert an attachment or even create one through Zoho Flow.
Got it.
So if you were getting a picture of someone's driver's license or something
could
like
we
that.
work around it? I mean, could it be like, hey, this whole thing runs, but if there's an attachment, I guess if there's an attachment field, you don't even want to bother with it, right?
Yeah, and it doesn't even doesn't have like a binary that comes through to tell Flow that there is or isn't one, right? It kind of just like leaves that part off when it sends the data to Flow.
Cool. Very, very nice. All right, and that brings us to this week's read. This is from CRM Magazine. Their website's called Destination CRM, and it's 4 ways you can enable your marketing campaign's success. And it's written by Dale Murray. He's the CEO of Sales Agility out of the UK. Just a great, it's kind of a condensed, concise article, but I kind of like it. It's just keeping it simple and really telling you some of the some great ways to use your CRM to help with your marketing campaigns.
Yeah, I think one of the big things that that this article highlights is that using a CRM allows you to monitor what's working, right? Because that's one of the biggest things when it comes to marketing is what types of emails are getting opened, right? What types of emails are getting clicked? If we're changing our homepage, are we getting more form submissions, right? All these different types of metrics so that you can continue to improve. And that's a little bit about what he talks about in the last little section here, is that it just allows you to actually monitor success, right? Because if you're not tracking those types of things, you're kind of taking that shotgun approach rather than a little bit more targeted and save you some money in the long run.
Yeah, and you get much more. I mean, look, there's MailChimp and Constant Contact and all the little email campaigns and all those kind of things that do handle your overall marketing and marketing campaigns. But when you tie it all back into a CRM where you get this complete holistic view of the client and everything that's going on there, it just the amount of data you get out of that is just crazy. And I do want to point out that in the newsletter and on here, if you're not watching the show, I actually thought that it's crazy that there are only 4 ways to enable your marketing campaigns, and there are 50 ways to leave your lover. That reference completely went by Tyler. So your homework is to, I guess, Paul Simon's Gracelands, Paul Simon's Rhythm of the Saints. I think there's just a few albums here you're going to have to listen up on.
I've been left in I'm out of the loop on this.
Anyway, all right. Well, let's make a new plan, Stan, and set ourselves free. That takes us to what's new on Zenatta this week. A couple of things. We've got a blog on how to connect and automate your business using Zoho Flow, which we were just talking about. This is a basic tutorial. I'm going to kind of step you through everything you need to know with Zoho Flow to get going and kind of set up a basic flow. And we're giving you some examples of how that would work, kind of taking you through the entire process. So if you get a chance, check that out. Great work from the team there as well. And then, wow. You talked about Wayne over in our director of marketing. He's out there trying to find these resource guides, and we kind of found the mother of all resource guides this week. This is basically a 197-page guide, which is release notes and help guides for everything that was released in Zoho CRM in 2020. And man, oh man, is there a lot here. It's basically covering workflow, marketing attribution, which is a new one that's out there, segmentation, working with calls, the review process, command center, multiple sales pipelines, wizards, workflow suggestions, and Zia, ton of Zia here, quadrant analysis, cohort analysis, web form A/B, web form analytics. Some of this stuff has just been just piled in. There's very little announcements about it. It's good to see this documentation because there has been just a lot released in 2020. And this is a 197-page document. He's calling it the holy grail of guides when it comes to Zoho CRM. So I think well worth taking a look at if you can jump over to the site. So that's in our resources under CRM. And then we found kind of just a simple guide on importing contacts into Zoho campaigns. It's just 12 pages, but it's step by step how to get everything done from an Excel file from the CRM, how you want to do them, how you want to get them in, how you want to link them, how you want to set them up. We get asked about this all the time. So it's a great little guide as to how to actually get those contacts directly into the CRM. All right. And that brings us to our application of the week. And Tyler, I chose this one. It's a new Zoho Cliq widget, one that we didn't talk about earlier, Zoho Writer. So this is a writer widget for Cliq, and it is pretty darn cool. It really allows you just to go in, and inside Cliq, you can choose your document, you can share a document, you can collaborate on a document, you can export it right from inside there, you can download it, you can share it. It's just you can create and manage all of your writer documents directly inside Cliq. I instantly installed it, instantly I'm in love with it. It's just it's so useful to not have to go into open up Writer and then upload and do all that, just to be in Cliq where we live and just start pushing everything right from there. So a great little implementation. Really, really happy about it.
Yeah, and it'd be really cool to see if they do this with WorkDrive as well, kind of build out a little WorkDrive suite inside of Cliq. I would assume kind of, Writer might be step one there, but I'd imagine that that could be another on their hit list, which would be even better.
Yeah, it's good stuff. And then for our tip of the week, man, it couldn't be more simple, but last week I got asked this twice. So I said, well, I guess we didn't have a video on it. So, people saying, gosh, so, hey, how do I add a signature to Zoho CRM? Because every time I send an email out of there, I'm just cutting and pasting things. And it's really simple. So we actually have a quick little video that you can go ahead and look at, and it's basically going to step you through how to do that. It's just, you go to settings, and then under personal settings, you look at your personal settings, you scroll down, and there is, in fact, your, there's your email signature, and you can go ahead and edit it from there. I did kind of go a little bit further on this because in a lot of cases, if you want your signature to look pretty, you really are just going to want to cut and paste some nice HTML in there, and that's always going to keep it consistent. So there's an application we use called WiseStamp, so that's also in the video, so you can kind of take a look at that as well. It allows you to make some really nice signatures, like if you're watching the video, like the one on the screen. You can do so much with WiseStamp. It handles everything for you. It does automatic integration into Office 365, automatic integration into G Suite, and it allows you to take just a raw HTML of the entire file and just take it and just dump it anywhere you want, so into somewhere like Zoho, and it keeps your signatures extremely consistent. So kind of a 2-for-1 on this tip and trick, so how to set up your signature and maybe how to make it look a little better. All right, and that is a wrap. If you've got any questions or comments, please send them to us over at info@zenatta.com, or just head on over to the website and click on Drop Us a Line.
And on the website is where you'll find complete episodes as well as show notes with links to the stories we discussed today. You can also follow us on your favorite social media platform and subscribe to us on your favorite podcast app as well as on YouTube. We'll see you next Monday.